Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be reviewing Transformers Dark of the Moon. Transformers Dark of the Moon is the third movie in the Transformers franchise and has by far the longest and biggest battles of the third act. Well, the first thing you probably noticed is that the moon landing was clearly not fake. It's been confirmed by Michael Bay in Transformers. The other thing is that the iconic Megan Fox isn't in this movie, and it's because she had some personal things and didn't really like Michael Bay, and who could blame her? So they put in some new hot blonde chick named Carly. She's introduced as Sam's girlfriend through this movie, and by the end, Sam loves her enough to stay with her forever. Wow. This level of emotion isn't conveyed that well, so it's a bit dramatic to have that be their ending. This movie, like the other two, is extremely long and horribly paced. The first section is still overly long and full of stupid shit. The second portion is some chaos, but ultimately the shortest part. And the third act is the longest by far, not just from this film, but probably in any film. Since even the first two were a little bit draining, I'm going to try and go through the story kind of quickly, alright? It shows more backstory of Cybertron and how there's one ship that escaped and ended up crashing onto the moon of Earth. NASA senses this, and that's why they sent the people up to the moon landing to go investigate it. They found some cool shit, it was all deemed confidential, and then it continues on. It cuts to Sam and shows that he's been struggling to find a job and that he wants to try and find a job before his parents come. Surprised, he goes downstairs and sees his god fucking damn parents. Okay? I had the same reaction as Sam when they showed up, because I'm like, oh fuck, I know what's about to happen. But to my surprise, Sam's parents are barely in the movie, so honestly, that's at least one win for this movie. It continues overly long and drawn out scenes of him trying to find a job. He got a medal from Obama, which is actually some sort of stunt double, which is very disappointing because it would have been kind of cool if Obama was in an actual movie, let alone fucking Transformers, right? Sam soon enough gets a job and meets his girlfriend's really obnoxious and asshole boss who's always flaunting his money and wealth around, and he's really not feeling great. He's pretty insecure about that shit. In the beginning portion, we also see the military send the Autobots up to space to investigate the moon landing back in the 60s, and they find Optimus's old mentor, Sentinel Prime, and he was guarding the pillars. I'd probably say in this first half, they do something the other two just don't do. And they actually kind of show decent character moments and build up some sort of story. Don't get me wrong, there's still a bunch of chaotic and just over-the-top bullshit. And there's a vulture Decepticon that kills some people within the first part of the movie, and it definitely replaces the slot of Sam's parents with the insane, chaotic shit. And that's saying something if I'm comparing two human characters to a psychotic alien robot vulture. But it actually feels like it's trying to focus more on the plot between the Pillars, Sentinel Prime, and Optimus. About the halfway point, we see Sentinel Prime betray the Autobots and say that he made a deal with Megatron, who's basically holding on to life with anger and debris. It's about at this point I'd say we pretty much know everything that's happened and is going to happen. The movie basically had the Decepticons trick Optimus into reviving Sentinel Prime for them so they can use Sentinel Prime to use these alien pillars to teleport the planet Cybertron to Earth. Thankfully, this plot is explained and shown pretty clearly throughout the film, which isn't something I can say about the other movies. So the military blames Optimus and the Autobots for Sentinel's betrayal and help with the Decepticons, so they decide to put him in timeout and banish them from Earth. They try and put them on a rocket and ship them off back into space. But, of course, Starscream comes into play and just blows the shit up. So, we kind of have a big Autobot death fake out. So Sentinel and the Decepticons disperse the pillars and start to activate them, and just lay waste to Chicago. I mean, in 60 seconds, it went from, oh, some aliens are around this city, to just sheer apocalyptic chaos. I mean, it's quite impressive, to be honest. The only hope left is Sam and some of the military people to come and try and blow up the primary pillar, which is the main control panel, and just shut it all down in one go. But thankfully, in just the nick of time, Optimus and the Autobots are still alive and come back to help them defeat the Decepticons. For this final act, it's close to an hour, and it, along with a fair amount of this movie, could have been shorter. But for the record, I actively didn't think about how scenes could be cut from this movie this time. Sure, there's still chaos in scenes that could have been filmed differently or things shortened, but it wasn't horrible to watch overall. This is a very big, long, drawn out battle between the Autobots and Decepticons, and Sam and the military are basically fighting for their lives, always in constant danger, but eventually they blow up the primary pillar, and Optimus has a big final battle against Sentinel, but not before Megatron comes in. So Carly's had nothing to do for this whole movie, naturally, so they're like, why don't we give her a conversation with Megatron? And she's telling him that he's being a little puss boy, and so he gets his ass up, and he starts to fire at Sentinel, and he knocks him down long enough that Optimus can, coincidentally, take them both down. And then the movie wraps up in another 30 seconds, just like the first two, and ends with an Optimus speech. Everyone's sweaty. Sam confessing he'll stay with Carly forever, even though you probably could have just inserted Megan Fox in there if she didn't have problems with Michael Bay. And after another long-ass 2.5 hours, the movie ends and it's finally over. But where does the movie stand as a film? I would definitely say in the first three, this is my second favorite, and while it does kind of copy the same story as the first two, it does it in a bit better way, and I don't really know how to describe it. I think it's just trying to be more story-based and showing the connections between Sentinel and Optimus, and it kind of showcases in some of their dialogue what their intentions are, or wanting just to go home again, or things like that. It was kind of just refreshing to be able to get some sort of a personality from even a few of the Transformers in this movie compared to the last two, where they were kind of just there and blowing shit up. The human characters, once again, are pretty basic. The military is just doing their military stuff. They tell Optimus to fuck off at one point. But it is mostly focused around Sam and his relationship with Carly and kind of being able to see where he can help out with this new world war because he's kind of done it a couple times now. It's different human stuff than Sam's parents or high school shit or college shit where there's just idiots everywhere and they're just doing things that aren't necessary, like pissing on people, because yes, that's actually been a scene in both of the first two films somehow, or dogs humping, or Sam's mom eating weed, or just the stupidest things, are actually just kind of left out of this, and that's what I'm really glad about. For filmmaking, the shots were pretty normal, and it was all pretty decent. He had some shaky handheld camera work, throughout, which, could be a little bit jarring, but it wasn't overly exhausting this time. For the set pieces and visuals, they were all pretty great. They used a lot of practical things, and obviously explosions were very prominent because it's a Michael Bay movie, but I think the Transformers visuals were at its peak during this movie. You had things complex like Optimus or Sentinel or the giant drilling snake going through the entire building, shattering tons of glass. You had so many particles, so many things going on at once in that scene. It was very impressive overall, and it definitely paid off in the end. To be honest, there is one character I'd like to touch on, because he's changed more than any other Transformer and any other character in this franchise so far. By this movie, I realized Optimus' journey was similar to another character, who started out peaceful, then slowly turned to anger and hatred. In the beginning, Optimus was a strong, honorable leader who wanted to be able to live in peace with the humans on their planet. He only tried to do what's right, including sacrificing himself as a last resort. Sam defeated Megatron initially, but in the second movie, Optimus faces him yet again. In that fight, Optimus only killed to protect his life so he could continue to protect the planet from the harm of the Decepticons. Unfortunately, he failed and died, but Sam resurrected him for the final battle in the second movie. When Optimus came back, we didn't see it at first, but he had changed. It could have been due to the writer's strike, but we may never know.
Then go home.
Genius.
In the third movie, he seemed the same despite killing the Fallen in the past, but he was not stopping there. This movie showed a drastic change for him, not just from killing, but from actions of those he trusted. Optimus has led a long life that we haven't seen entirely, but as it continued, he was betrayed by Megatron, Sentinel Prime, and now the humans. When he was blamed for all of this destruction, he may have left peacefully, but it was in spite of everything he's tried to do for them. He let Earth be attacked by the Decepticons to prove a point to the humans The Decepticons wouldn't stop attacking Earth even if the Autobots left. He let thousands of humans die to prove a point to the government. He was not just petty or spiteful. No, he had changed. He had transformed into something else, something cynical, hateful, and darker.
Time to find out.
The time of Optimus Prime is over. What Michael Bay has created may haunt all of us. But he doesn't stop here. There's still 2 more Transformers movies up ahead, and honestly, with the way things are going with Optimus, things aren't looking good. The movies slowly decline as they continue from here on out, but that doesn't mean we can't still find some enjoyment in the small things. The end of this movie definitely sparks into something new. A new age for the Transformers. I just hope we're ready for that. Overall, I'd say it's got a bit of a better plot. This movie has some decently filmed moments and some really fun and cool action. It's definitely not the worst, but it's not the best. And clearly it's going in a direction that we were definitely not expecting. I think I'd give this movie a Darth Prime out of 10, because that's honestly what he's turned into. Well, that's going to do it for my review of Transformers Dark of the Moon. I hope you guys all enjoyed, and if you did, feel free to like and subscribe down below and comment if you enjoyed this movie too. Stay tuned for the next Transformers movie review, but until then, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all later.